Magabanan, folks. It is I, once again, Count Dracula, back with more integrals since I am done with the final exams. And I did reasonably well. I would rather not think about it. I'm just kidding, I actually did pretty damn well. So today we have the integral from 0 to 1 of log x times the sine of log x over root x dx. And yes, as per the thumbnail, we do have a related or cousin integral for the target integral I. But the question is, how on earth do we approach this thing in the first place? Well, we do have a log x term and a sine of log x term. We could make use of an integral function that is defining I of a parameter alpha as the integral from 0 to 1 of x to the alpha minus 1 times sine of log x dx. And the benefit of this is that if I differentiate the function x to the alpha minus 1 partially with respect to alpha, that yields x to the alpha minus 1 times log x. Okay, cool, but that begs the question of whether or not I can differentiate under the integral sign or not. Well, if we can prove that this thing converges, absolutely. Hence it will converge, and we can switch up the order of operators. So the target integral is integral 0 to 1 of this whole thing over here. I'll write this in the absolute value, x to the alpha minus 1 times sine of log x, terribly sorry about that, dx. Now, the sine function is bound between 0 and 1, so the absolute value of the sine function, that is bound between 0 and 1. So this thing is less than or equal to the integral from 0 to 1 of x to the alpha minus 1, where I'm taking alpha to be in the interval 0 to 1, so the half open interval here. So that means on the right-hand side, we do have x to the alpha over alpha. Limits are 0 and 1, so for the 0 limit, this thing will collapse to 0. And for 1, we have 1 over alpha. So the integral does converge absolutely, and there is no problem in switching up the order of operators if we differentiate. So by that plan, we'll write out I of alpha again, integral 0 to 1, x to the alpha minus 1 times the sine of log x dx. We'll differentiate this thing partially with respect to, well, we differentiate this thing with respect to alpha with a total derivative. And on the right-hand side, since we can switch it up, we have integral 0 to 1 partial derivative because of the Leibniz rule, x to the alpha minus 1 times sine of log x dx. Okay, cool. So like we discussed before, this results in the integral from 0 to 1, x to the alpha minus 1 times log x times the sine of log x dx. So we do have I prime of alpha, and it looks like for the target integral, all I need to do is evaluate alpha at 1/2, correct? So the target integral I is equal to I prime at alpha equal to 1/2. Okay, cool. But that means I need an expression for I of alpha, as in I need to solve this integral explicitly. So notice something about the sine function here. We do know that sine of theta is equal to the imaginary part of e to the I theta by Euler's beautiful formula. So this implies that the sine of log x is going to be the imaginary part of e to the I times log x, which is just imaginary part e to the log x to the I. There's some lovely cancellation taking place, and we have x to the I. So this implies that I of alpha is equal to the imaginary part, terribly sorry about that, of the integral from 0 to 1 of what exactly? Oh yeah, x to the alpha minus 1 is still there, and I have x to the I dx. In other words, I can just write this thing as x to the alpha minus 1 plus I, which is a pretty standard integral to evaluate. This yields the imaginary part of the integral, no wait, on integration. We invoke the power rule and write this as x to the alpha plus I over alpha plus I, with the limits being 0 and 1. So as x tends to 0, we will get a 0, and 1 to the alpha plus I is going to be a 1. So we need the imaginary part of 1 over alpha plus I, which we can get pretty damn easily by expanding using the conjugate. So we have 1 over alpha plus I times alpha minus I, terribly sorry about that, over alpha minus I. So that yields the imaginary part of alpha minus I over alpha squared minus I squared, which is -1. So this implies that your integral function, I of alpha, actually converges to the imaginary part, which is -1 over alpha squared plus 1, which looks cool if we were to integrate this thing, because that's just an arctangent, but this time there's a twist in the story. We need to differentiate this with respect to alpha. So let me just prime the whole thing, where the prime means differentiate with respect to alpha. And we have I prime of alpha equal to, let's see, we should have 2 alpha up top, a negative sign, 2 negatives canceling out, 2 alpha over 1 plus alpha squared whole thing squared. And recall we needed alpha equal to 1/2 for the target integral. So I here is equal to 2 times 1/2 over 1 plus 1/2 squared. And this is where I struggled. This took me about 3 business days before I gave up and asked ChatGPT Pro. Yes, I had to pay for the subscription. Totally worth it, guys. Totally worth it. So I'm just going to Deus Ex Machina this and say that it equals 16 over 25. I'm not sure about the details. I couldn't really understand that. Some really weird-ass symbols over there, man. I mean, it didn't even seem like mathematics at that point. It was more like black magic. I don't know, bro. So anyway, that is the result of our first integral. And now for the second guest on our show. So where are my notes that allow me to forget what I was about to write? Strangely, for the first year or so of the channel, did not use any notes, or I used them, I used them sparingly, but now I prefer having notes beforehand for all my videos. So the new target integral I is the integral from 0 to 1 of log x sine of 1/2 of log x over, what do you call it? Oh yeah, root x dx. And that looks pretty damn similar. This is in fact the sine of log root x. And the strategy here is to first let root x equal t. And this implies that 1 over 2 root x dx equals dt. The limits are clearly not bothered. I mean, root 0 is 0, root 1 is 1. So this implies that I here is the integral from 0 to 1 of log of t squared, I believe, sine of log t over t, and we have dx here equal to 2 times t dt, because root x is, of course, our t variable. So we have 2t dt, which results in some more cancellation. Log t squared, that is 2 times log t, so we have 4 times the integral from 0 to 1 of log t times the sine of log t, which does look pretty damn dope. And we have evaluated a similar integral before, so I'm just gonna invoke some recall. So recall that the integral from 0 to 1 of t to the alpha minus 1 times log of sine t dt converged to -1 over alpha squared plus 1. Terribly sorry about that. And by that token, we had the integral from 0 to 1 of t to the alpha minus 1. On differentiating, we get a log t. Terribly sorry about that. And what is wrong with my t's today? Then we have the sine of, oh dear me, I've written out the integral completely backwards. So that is sine of log t, and then we have, oh dear me, what is wrong today? Sine of log t again, disrespecting t, as my good friend Miguel Santiago would say. So this thing resulted in 2 alpha over 1 plus alpha squared. And all I have to do is let alpha here equal to 1. So we have the integral from 0 to 1 of log t sine of log t, which is, I think, exactly what we have up top, times that weird-looking symbol. dt is equal to 2 over 1 plus 1. I think that was 2 from some theorem related to analytic number theory. I'm not sure. I can cancel out some exponents, and then I have 1/2. So this implies, oh dear me, this implies that I here is actually just equal to 4 times 1/2. And again, ChatGPT helped me quite a lot with this. The result, after some weird-ass symbols, I mean, there were crosses over there. Anyone know what that means? Please point out in the comment section. This thing equals 2. And that actually gives us a really nice representation of the number 1. Because recall that the integral that the integral we evaluated is that from 0 to 1 of log x times the sine of log root x. Okay, cool. Over root x again, dx. If that equals 2, then this implies that I can just, well, expand using 1/2, but the 1/2 can appear over here. And that means I have a nice looking integral expression for the number 1, which is of course what we study math for, right? We're just looking for new ways of writing 0 and 1. So the next time you want to expand by 1 or add 1 to both sides of an equation, just add this, my friends. Okay, cool. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. See you next time.